Gout Gout did not just share a track with Noah Lyles. He stepped into the same frame as the fastest man in the world, and suddenly the future of sprinting felt a lot closer. At 18, Gout is still supposed to be chasing the standard. Lyles is supposed to be the standard. That is why the Florida training clip exploded online. It was not a final. It was not for a medal. But those few seconds were enough to make fans rewind the footage and ask if track just got its first real glimpse of the next sprinting threat. Let's start with what we actually witnessed. The training facility in Clermont, Florida, buzzed with activity as two of the most recognizable figures in track and field prepared for what was supposed to be a routine 150-meter time trial. Noah Lyles, the reigning world champion and Olympic gold medalist, was working with his usual training group when Gout Gout arrived for what was described as a casual training session. The Australian teenager, fresh off his record-breaking performances at the Australian Athletics Championships, looked relaxed as he jogged around the track. His running style, often compared to a young Usain Bolt, was evident even during warm-up. The comparison to Bolt is not just about height and stride length. It is about the effortless way Gout Gout covers ground with a smoothness that defies his age and relative inexperience. Lyles was initially focused on his own workout. The American sprinter is known for his intense preparation and meticulous attention to detail. Every run has a purpose, every session is structured, and every competitor in his vicinity gets evaluated through the lens of championship experience. But something shifted when the coaches suggested an impromptu race. What started as a training exercise became something much more significant the moment both athletes agreed to line up side by side. Coaches pulled out their phone, other athletes stopped their workouts, and suddenly this routine afternoon in Florida felt like a preview of something much bigger. The race distance of 150 meters was crucial to understanding what happened next. This is not a standard competitive distance, which means both athletes were operating outside their usual range. For Lyles, who has dominated the 100 and 200 meter events, the 150 sits in an interesting middle ground. For Gout Gout, whose recent success has come primarily in the 200, this was a chance to test his acceleration against the best in the world. Both athletes settled into their blocks with the calm confidence that comes from thousands of practice starts. But the energy was not calm at all. Lyles carried the weight of being the established champion. Gout Gout carried something different but equally powerful: the fearlessness of youth and the momentum of unprecedented early success. When the starters' commands went out, both exploded off the line with the kind of power that has made them stand out in sprinting. The first 30 meters unfolded as expected. Lyles, with his championship-level acceleration and polished technique, built an early lead. His start, refined through years at the highest level, gave him the kind of advantage that has ended races before they truly began. The 40-meter mark is where the clip becomes extraordinary. Gout Gout, running in the lane next to the Olympic champion, began closing the gap with a display of raw speed that defied what most people expect from a teenager at this stage of development. His stride pattern, already mature beyond his years, hit a rhythm that chipped away at Lyles' advantage with each passing meter. By the 60-meter mark, something unexpected was happening. Gout Gout had not only closed the initial gap, but pulled alongside the reigning Olympic champion. His running form, from arm carriage to foot strike, showed a level of technical polish that typically takes years to develop. More importantly, there was no visible strain, no sign he was anywhere near his ceiling. Lyles responded exactly as a champion does. The final 90 meters saw him dig into his reserve, tapping into the competitive edge that has carried him to multiple world titles. His form stayed technically clean, his focus complete, his drive absolute. But Gout Gout matched him step for step through the critical final phase of the race. The last 20 meters are what turned a training session into viral content. Gout Gout, showing none of the fatigue that typically hits teenage athletes when competing alongside seasoned professionals, held his pace right through the finish line. The result was essentially a dead heat, at a time that would have been competitive at most professional meets. The immediate aftermath told its own story. Lyles, breathing hard and showing the physical toll of running at full capacity, looked across at Gout Gout. The Australian teenager, meanwhile, jogged through his cooldown looking almost casual, as if he had just finished a routine training run rather than matching the Olympic champion's stride for stride. The technical breakdown of Gout Gout's performance explains exactly why the track community is paying close attention. His stride frequency shows an optimal balance between turnover speed and ground contact time, a metric elite sprinters spend years dialing in. His stride length held consistent throughout, something young sprinters rarely manage once the pace intensifies. And his running relaxation, the ability to maintain speed without excess muscular tension, appeared completely natural rather than drilled. That last point matters more than most people realize. Relaxation under maximum velocity is one of the hardest skills to develop in sprinting. Most teenagers tighten up when competing against elite athletes, and that tension bleeds directly into lost speed. Gout Gout did not tighten. His mechanics stayed stable from start to finish, which is exactly why biomechanics analysts have been breaking down the clip frame by frame since it went public. The psychological dimension carries equal weight. Going up against the Olympic champion typically unsettles even established professionals. Gout Gout's composure throughout the session, not just the race itself but the entire day, points to a competitive mentality that goes well beyond his years. He did not appear nervous. He did not appear intimidated. He appeared to be exactly where he expected to be. The viral spread of the clip reflects more than casual interest in track. Comment sections across every platform are filled with frame-by-frame breakdowns, predictions about future matchups, and genuine debate about what this means for the sport heading into the next Olympic cycle. Sprint coaches worldwide are studying the footage, trying to understand how a teenager at this stage of development produced what they witnessed. International federations have already responded. Gout Gout has received meet invitations from some of the most prestigious events on the circuit. The Australian sprint program is now under serious global scrutiny as coaches try to understand the development environment that produced this kind of athlete. Track programs that spent years studying the Jamaican model are now looking south. For Lyles, this session reshapes his training landscape in a way he has not had to deal with in years. Being the unquestioned fastest man in any room is something he has long operated with as a given. That assumption no longer holds, and that kind of pressure has historically pushed champions to sharper performances. For Gout Gout, the global attention that followed this clip carries genuine weight. Expectations have shifted, timelines have been compressed. Every result he posts from here will be measured against what people saw in Florida, whether he is ready for that or not. Their upcoming 150-meter showdown at the Ostrava Golden Spike now carries very real stakes. It is no longer just a meet appearance for an exciting young sprinter. It is the first chance to validate what the Florida session suggested, in front of a live crowd on a chip-time track with everything on record. The sport is watching, and for the first time in a while, nobody is certain what happens next. What makes this particular moment worth studying is not just the result, but the rate at which Gout Gout is developing. Most elite sprinters take years to close the gap on established champions, and even then it happens gradually, through seasons of incremental improvement and hard competition. Gout Gout appears to be operating on a different timeline. His progression from junior standout to legitimate threat at the senior level has compressed what normally takes a full Olympic cycle into a matter of months. That acceleration in development is what has the coaching world genuinely uncertain about where his ceiling sits.